Hello, viewers and subscribers. Welcome once again. The continuation of the previous screencast. We already discussed about how can you deploy the Spring Boot application with different deployment process with the standalone jar file based deployment or Docker Compose based deployment or Docker or Kubernetes based deployments. So the previous screencast we already discussed about how can you deploy the standalone jar-based deployment into the Spring Boot application. If you saw the structure like that, so we have a different release of the new applications, and then we have some environmental setting parameters, and then this is environmental setting parameters, very standard parameters, versions, database, username, and database name into the environmental files. And after the setting file is created, then we need to simply start the Spring Boot application with the start application. I already started the application. That's I can show you again how can I start it. So you can go the command window. Again, so you see that simply you see the structure. We are located external jar files, and we have the start service files and environmental setting files, and we can run the procedures. So this is the standalone jar file based deployment. So today, what I need to do to deploy the applications with the Docker and Docker Compose based applications. So of course, we need today we need Docker installations, and those are too new in the Docker installations. Just look for my channel, there is installation process, or you can Google it and find the possibility how to install the Docker and Docker Compose tool with that one. So if I go to the applications, that's protected running in the standalone jar file based deployment. Now we'll go to the Docker deployment, how this works. So I already did the deployments in Docker deployments. You can see how, but I will create we will create together how can we do this. So we have the image created, and then there is the database. The Postgres database is a 9.6 alpha versions, and this is our version, our release version 1.2.5. Maybe we'll do it 1.2.6, and then we can install that. An application is running here that we are expecting. So applications is the database is running 5432, and then our application running 2021 application. Everything perfect, and the necessary volumes is created. It's take time to bit. So applications is application contain exactly what we expected, and then all the images, the Docker images that you are running, and you can also then command line. We'll show you the command lines, all the images, how it look like. So this is if I go to the command lines, so this is the applications here. So application is running here. So we see the application running. So we'll do the together to create how can we deploy. You see the applications is the building Docker image out of these versions, and now we can simply write down Docker Compose, and application is up, and it's created all necessary volumes, and also the created all necessary containers, and user it all application. And then after that, the application are created properly what we expected. So and then we need to go back to the development. How can you write down your application.yml file? It's a little bit different than the previous one, the standalone jar file. If you see that I just put it all the environmental variables here, so all the variables that I need. So we define the which host didn't define it, which port number is application will be running, and then the application version number, and then so on and so forth, and database number, versions, and host name, post keys, username and password, and database name, and the database version number, and then Spring Boot database URL. Just set it like this is the host name, that this is the container names of the database, and the port number, and so on and so forth. If I go if you go to the application.yml file, this is the most important part. That's we have the placeholder. So if it is the environmental variable is not set, that's the default value 2020, and you can override this one. So this everything is a placeholder. If is not the value is not there, then you take the default value for this case. So this is the definition. The key value appears here, the environmental variables, and you can get these variables. If it's not present, then we set it the default values in this case. So you define the username. So if you have the password is not set, the default password will be the admin, and the platform Postgres, and the username. And you see all the standards. Just you said the environmental variable, the installation team just simply change the port number and the version number, and then so on and so forth, and also the database version number in globally external settings or configurations. An application file is exactly the same files, don't need to be installed and need to be put in the installation, but this is an example for the installation team, but DevOps teams to change the necessary values based on to installing the application into the production test or release environments, or how many machines, doesn't matter. Just this is the compose files, and this is the Docker files that's really needed. Does they need to be changed? Simply change the version number 2.6, and then it's just automatically running, and change the version what is 2.6 here, and so the 6 here, and then it's automatically should run automatically and globally. So we'll check it like the application itself. How can we run it? How can you deploy these applications? So that means we set all the environmental variables that we need, and also the our Docker Compose files. That's the reading the file, reading the data, the environmental variable files from the your environmental files. So you see the we use the Docker Postgres image, and the version number we can set it in version number alpha or whatever 13 or 11 and 12, doesn't matter. Just you globally set which version you try to install, or which Docker, or which image, the Postgres image you try to get, and then try to install your application with this respective Postgres image. So you can define globally that's, and this is the definition of the networks. So networks and networks mode, we don't need the networks mode anymore. Just simply put it like that. So user registration, the container ID, we put it container ID. So it's a BD user registration container ID, and we put it define the volumes. So it's a volume is defined here. So you see the volumes name is here, the defined volumes. We just define the volumes here, and the port number default port, we set the environmentals variables, and that's the variable username password. So we set global this the environment variable globally, the username here, the admin, and then the username is here. So the username, password, and database names, and also the our applications. So applications which contain an image we created, that you saw the images here. So we first create the image, user registration image with the tags number 1.2.5 1.2.5 at the moment we are using, and then and here, so we put it like which version we are looking for. So we just simply, so next version will be changed like 6, and then 6, and then everything is nothing to need to be changed, and then we have a Docker file, so it automatically create the Docker image out of the your Docker definitions. So it's simply here we will create the Docker files and new versions of the files together, and then it will create the Docker image out of this release, the latest release. The last release was the 2.6, 2.5 to 1.2.5, and now it went to 2.6. So out of this create. So very simple, very straightforward. So number versions, so we have created the networks with the version 2.2 is container versions, and this is the your externally